do that, that's the topic today. Has your spouse stopped practicing the faith? Okay, so I told you Jerry's in St. Louis finishing up the conference details. One faith experience was this past weekend. We had an amazing lineup of speakers. I'm sure you've all heard about it so much on Facebook and on EWTN television. Father Larry Richards, Tim Staples, Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers, Adam Bly, Teresa Tamio, Hector Molina. It was, I can't even describe what I experienced. And then that's why we called it The Experience, because the talks were so unique, one of a kind, super high energy, enlightening, informative, that it's something that so many people have been calling and saying, I didn't get to go to St. Louis. I saw the broadcast, or I didn't see the broadcast, but I want to make sure my family member hears these talks and sees these talks, and I don't know what to do. Can I get the DVD set? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. We have the DVD of the conference, and let me tell you, it's one of a kind. And Jerry and I are there hosting it, and we have behind the scenes footage, bonus footage. We even have footage from the night before VIP dinner. And when you hear the banter between the speakers and even some of the almost little mini comedy routines going on, it's pretty exciting. I think you're going to want the DVD. But here's what's really cool. This week only, we are offering the DVD, and it's 30% off of what it will regularly be in the future. 30% off. That's pretty cool. So if you're interested, onefaithexperience.com. Go to onefaithexperience.com. Check it out, and then you'll see what happened the whole weekend. And it's pretty. I just, I'm at a loss for words. What can I say? It was something I have never, ever seen. I've been in ministry for over 25 years. I've never seen the energy like this. So many people ran to the resource tables trying to acquire Adam Bly's resources on angels and demons, and people were saying, I've never heard this stuff before. I need this. Oh my goodness, the Lord told me to be here, and I was here, and it was for me. And yes, it was for all the people that were there and could hear it, and we don't want anyone to miss out. So onefaithexperience.com. Thank you for allowing me to share that with you, because we are getting phone calls and emails, and we thought it would just be easier just to share it on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. So Jerry is back in St. Louis finishing up the details of the conference. And he's happily doing that because he's beaming from ear to ear, because so many lives have been touched, so many souls. And that's really what the mission was with this. That's what was really put on his heart by God. And so mission accomplished. What can we say? God is amazing. Today on Take Two, I'm going to be talking to you, and we're going to be having a conversation about, has your spouse stopped practicing the faith? What does that do to the family? What does that do to the marriage? What does that do to the one partner that is growing and advancing and moving forward? And then all of a sudden they kind of look back, and there's their spouse, kind of maybe stuck, maybe even going backwards, maybe just, walking away. That is really debilitating. That is really shocking to a marriage. And it's shocking for the friendship in the marriage. It's shocking for the partnership. And we deserve to talk about it, because there may be a person right now listening who, I'm talking about you. You're that person that just says, I did the Catholic thing for a while in the marriage, and I'm just not interested anymore. It might be good to hear from the other side of the spouse that really has tried to walk in holiness and grow in holiness, and what that feels like on the other side too, because we'll never grow if we don't learn from all angles. And that's what Take Two is all about. We take a fresh look. We have a new angle on things. And so we want to talk. Here come the calls. This is going to be a very deep show. I feel it. I feel it, because this is impacting a lot of families, a lot of spouses. So share your take. I don't want to do this alone. I have a lot to share about that situation, but you don't want to just hear me speak about it. You want to hear your fellow Catholic Christians share their stories, because that is what's going to impact you. That is why when you go into self-help sections in bookstores, they're the most popular. Other people have walked the walk, and then they're sharing what they have experienced. And it helps all of us to grow and to learn. So the number to dial is 1-800-585-9396. 1-800-585-9396. We're gonna get ready for a break here in just a minute, and I have Jeff Burson with us today. Rich I believe he's out sick, and so we want to make Rich our producer. So we want to make sure he's doing okay. And Matt Gabinski is out too. So we've got Jeff and Michael with me, and this is awesome. And we are going to get ready to take our first break. And when we come back, maybe we can start really conversing about this topic about, has your spouse stopped practicing the faith? That is the topic today we're talking about on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. So if you want to jump in, number to dial, 1-800-585-9396. I think I'm getting ready for a break, but I don't know if I don't hear that beautiful music, so I could just keep talking till I hear that beautiful music. Oh, see what they do to me? This is a joke. Okay, thanks, guys. You don't want to hear me talk, so you started the music. All right, we'll take that break. When we come back, we're going to go right to Mary in Colorado. She's going to lead off on Has Your Spouse Stopped Practicing the Faith? This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Only it's just me today, so pray for Jerry. He's packing things up in St. Louis. We'll be right back.
Check out EWTN's official YouTube channel.
Just follow the link on our homepage at EWTN.com or go to YouTube.com/EWTN.
Watch EWTN's live shows or today's homily from the Daily Mass.
Click the upload button to see our most recent clips.
You can also find all of EWTN YouTube content by clicking the playlist button.
It's all on the official EWTN YouTube channel at YouTube.com/EWTN.
Visit today.
It's the start of a new day for Morning Catholic Radio.
We are a victim of crime in the sense that we're affected by other things that have happened in our life, our own choices. You want to accompany these people and help them to heal. Well, God wants to heal us through holiness, but then we think, oh, holiness is like the tax code. I can't become holy because it's 74,000 pages. And
I was wondering how you're going to tie that in. Morning Glory, Catholic from the start. Weekday mornings, 7 Eastern on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Welcome back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're so glad you are with us. We're going to start the conversation on has your spouse stopped practicing the faith? And as promised, I'm going right to Mary in Colorado, listening to EWTN Radio on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Mary. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi, good morning. I was married in the Catholic Church. I was born and raised Catholic. My husband, when I married him, was not Catholic. And I was very immature when I got married. I just, all the reasons that I got married were not what they should have been. But we've been married 23 years. He did actually go through RCIA for our daughter, but then has since retracted everything and actually kind of ridicules my faith now. Is not interested in anything, and I've really grown in my faith. I used to be a cafeteria Catholic, but now as I've grown in my faith, I accept everything, and my faith is just number one in my life. And trying to share it with him is impossible. I can't speak of it. I can't really say too much, or I get ridiculed, and he keeps telling me how the Eucharist means nothing to him, and so it's been very difficult because I realize the beauty of the faith and sharing it with your spouse, and I can't do that with him. So it's been hard because he's gone backwards.
Right,
the RCIA.
right. Well, can I ask a couple questions? Because this is actually, I used to do a lot of formation on this, what your particular situation. And first of all, Mary, you're not alone. There's many, many couples just like you and your husband that this has happened to. And you said you've been married for 23 years?
Correct.
Okay. And how many children? I'm just curious, how many children?
Just one. We have just one.
Okay. And is she grown? Is she out of the house?
No, she's 16, and I'm
Okay.
working really hard with her to keep the faith, and so far so good.
Good, 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 good. Okay, so a couple things. I mean, you're calling to share. It sounds like you're calling to share how hard it's been. May I say that it's probably lonely too, because that is
Absolutely.
okay. Yeah, because I was in the same situation, so I know my former husband was Jewish. It was very lonely. I used to come home talking about Mass, and he would look at me like I was speaking a foreign language. I mean,
Yeah.
it was, yeah, it just didn't fly very well. And he would be watching sports, and then that would get me angry watching sports on Sunday because, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. So my question then is, when he went through RCIA, was was it there's RCIA programs that some are just, it's just so phenomenal. And then there's others that are great. They're doing the best they can with the resources they have. What was his experience in RCIA?
I don't think it was a profound experience for him. Actually, some of the things that they taught were not really what the Catholic Church teaches. One of the things that the instructor taught was that, if a baby is not baptized, they go straight to hell. And, that's false teaching. And so I don't think his experience was the best.
Okay. Well, that's why I asked you that question, because when the experience, and may I ask, if you don't want to answer anything, don't feel free not to, but I just wanted to ask is just to kind of get the basis of it. You said your husband went to RCIA because of your daughter. Was it something that you had requested of him, or did he say to you, I want to go to RCIA because our daughter is Catholic?
He did it on his own. Matter of fact, I never pressured or, said anything, but yes, he went on his own, and it was his own decision.
Right. Okay, so I think you know where I'm going with this. Here's the situation. Your husband made an effort on his own to do this, and then he walks away with not the greatest experience that changed him from the inside out. So where did he continue his catechetical formation after that? Or did he just start going to Mass and just kind of going through maybe the motions?
Yeah, exactly. He just goes through the motions. He goes to church with us, and I think it's almost like a feeling that, well, I checked off that box, so I'm good to go. But he does not believe in the Eucharist. He does not go to receive communion, which I give him credit for, because he doesn't believe in the true presence. But he does go to church with us once in a while. If he misses, he doesn't think it's that big a deal. And he said he's going just to kind of have conformity in the home, but yet at the same time, it's just gotten more and more negative on his view of the church, and he doesn't agree with the teachings, and he thinks the church was founded by uneducated people, and he just has a really, really negative feeling about the church, which I think came from his mom. His mom is very against organized religion.
Wow, is she still on this earth?
She is. Yeah, she's
okay.
91 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay. Bless her heart. Okay. Yeah, that's, well, here's the thing. So let me ask you, have you been advised by a priest? Like, what are you doing for yourself first, and your daughter and your husband? And I say yourself first because the last thing you want to do is for you to go backwards in your faith. That's the last thing you want to do, in my opinion.
Right.
I hope you,
absolutely.
Okay. So what are you doing to safeguard your family?
Well, my faith, I've just tried every day. I get stronger and stronger in my faith. It's just become phenomenal. I know there's still, much more to go, but it's actually made my faith stronger because it's teaching me patience and prayer and, acts of mercy. And it's hard sometimes because, he'll say something about the church that is absolutely wrong, and I'll try to talk to him about it, but he gets very defensive, and no matter how I say anything, he takes it as I'm attacking him personally, and I'm not. It's just trying to defend my faith in a way that's calm, but yet at the same time it does make me a little angry because some of the things he says are so wrong and so hurtful.
Right.
But
it's attacking you at your core.
Exactly, and I think he knows that. But as for my daughter, I take her to as many, I'm very pro-life. I volunteer at a pro-life facility and take her and do things with her at Catholicism. She goes to a Catholic school, and so I really try to safeguard her, and I tell her to be patient with him, that he's on a journey, and just pray for him. We don't nag him, we don't shove it down his throat. So it's taught me to be more merciful and try to be more patient, and I try to keep as much of this to myself. Like when I listen on your show, I listen through my headset so he doesn't have to hear it himself.
That's what I was going to ask you. So he doesn't listen to Catholic radio at all, I presume?
No, not at all.
Well, okay, so because of your call, I want to share something, and I would run down the list, but I'm going to handpick a few books that I think would, and I'm sure you maybe have read some of the books when you do have spouses that maybe have fallen away or not interested in the church. If you have, then you can just see the list. But if somehow you can either read some of these resources or even kind of just conveniently just lay them out around the house, so maybe he just passes by the cover and maybe has an interest someday in it. We're gonna post them after the show. I'm at the Station of the Cross in Buffalo, New York, with their Spring Appeal Drive. So I go back on the air for the Station of the Cross. But after my next break, Mary, I'm going to have Jeff Burson post a series of resources that might be helpful, especially for you and your daughter. So check back on take2show.com. Would you do that later on in the day?
Sure.
Okay.
Take2show.com.
Yeah, take2show.com. I hope I was correct on that. Jeff, if I'm wrong, take2show.com. Jeff, if I'm incorrect, send me a message. But it's take2show.com. Okay, so back to your situation. I want to just share a couple things. I'm sure you're doing this already, but here's just a couple things that I learned from my aunt, who's a Dominican sister. She's still living in Caldwell, New Jersey. Very brilliant woman. And she gave me great advice that I did not adhere to. So I'm going to give the advice to you in hopes that it could benefit you, because I didn't adhere to it and I wish I had. My aunt, the Dominican sister, said, when you are in the situation you're in, just like yours, Mary, the best way to influence in a positive way your loved ones around you is by your joy and by your example. Much less words, much more joy and example. And she said, and she's in her late 80s. I think she's almost 90. She's in her late 80s. And she said she has seen it work time and time again, how people's hearts and minds are changed because they want what somebody else has when they see it radiating, coming out of them, when it radiates out of them. I'm sure you probably know that already, and I'm sure you're doing that. But in case you may be not doing that, or you've fallen out of the habit of doing that, the more your daughter and you are just radiating this joy, this laughter, this excitement, that is going to feel, he's going to feel deep inside of him. It may take him years. It may take him minutes. It's all in God's time. But something is going to draw him, because that is how Jesus works. That's exactly how he works. When you look at his ministry on earth, when he was walking and he was talking, people were drawn from miles and miles away to the energy. They were drawn to him. Why were they drawn? Because it was radiating out. It was from where he was, miles and miles away. So you see, and I don't know if that is happening, but I know it sounds very simple, but it really is very true. And eventually he may give up the quest of trying to argue his way out of the Catholic Church and just start looking at his wife and his daughter, and he says, wow, they've got something that I really want. I might need to pursue this again. And then at that point, Mary, I would definitely take him to a priest. You guys, to go to a priest that you really respect and admire, and get him in the right formation. Unfortunately, he did not get started off maybe in the best way, and it just spiraled out from there. I don't know if that can at all help you, but I know that some of the resources I'm going to post will definitely continue and help you. Is there anything else you wanted to comment on? I don't want to leave you unless you feel like you're not alone, and you can do this. I want you and your daughter to continue growing, because that is what we're all called to do.
Yeah, and we are. I feel my faith really, really growing, and we're trying the best we can. It's just sometimes it's dealing with a personality that's kind of stubborn. The happier that he sees me in my faith, the more he tries to put me down. It's almost a priest did tell me once that he thinks that he may be very jealous of that. Right. And just to keep praying for him, and
right.
Be the best person you can be, and so that's my journey.
Well, yeah, I would agree with you. There could be that internal kind of jealousy competition happening. But if you, it's not a, I've got something and you don't have it. It's a, I want to bring you along because you're my spouse and I want you to be as happy as I am. Just like winning the lottery, you'd bring the person closest to you along. So if that can help, Mary, keep checking back with us, but go to take2show.com, please. You'll hear that music. We got to take this hard break. Thank you for calling in. Thank you for sharing your story. God bless you, and keep us posted. We'll be right back.
The woman caught in adultery felt worthless. She found a new identity when a man stood between her and her executioners. Let anyone without sin cast the first stone. One by one they walked away. Is there anyone left who condemns you? Neither do I. Go and sin no more. Peter felt unworthy when he first met Jesus. He fell to his knees and said, "Depart from me, Lord, I'm a sinful man." Jesus saw something more in Peter than he saw in himself. "Come follow me. You'll be a fisher of men." St. Paul was a persecutor of Christians. In one of the simplest and most heroic acts in early Christian history, Ananias, who had been hiding from Paul, went to pray over him. He didn't say, "Saul, you murderer." He said, "Saul, my brother, our Lord sent me." Forgiven, fisher of men, brother. Have you defined yourself in light of your sin or weakness? Jesus is reaching out to you now, calling you by a new name. This is Chris Stefanik from reallifecatholic.com on EWTN Radio.
Hello, I'm Doug Keck, host of EWTN's Bookmark. I wanted to mention a new book that I wanted you to check out in time for the Jubilee of Mercy. It's A Holy Year in Rome, the complete pilgrim's guide for the Jubilee of Mercy by our one and only Rome correspondent, Joan Lewis of Joan's Rome. And in this book, Joan takes you back in time for a look at the history of Jubilees and then brings you up to the present with a visit to the 7 pilgrim basilicas of Rome, 4 of which must be visited by pilgrims to obtain a Holy Year indulgence. You'll discover the treasures of Rome and the Vatican, and you'll learn all about the many interesting facts, such as the difference between a church, a basilica, the significance of the holy doors, architecture, liturgical customs, and much, much more, as only Joan can bring them to life. Available through the EWTN Religious Catalog, EWTNRC.com. It's A Holy Year in Rome, the complete pilgrim's guide for the Jubilee of Mercy by the one and only Joan Lewis. Check it out.
Thanks for joining us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Jerry's not with me today, but you got me. And we're talking about when our spouses or somebody we love stops practicing the faith. That can be really, really tough and really lonely and really frustrating, all of the above. I just want to go back real quickly to Mary's call, because Mary made the comment, I hope, Mary, if you're still listening, that a priest once told you that maybe it could be possible that your husband could be jealous. Here's the interesting thing about that. Think about it when you've ever fallen into jealousy. You know, you saw somebody else's, girls see somebody else's haircut and they wish or their hairstyle, and they wish they had that kind of hair or whatever. If you're jealous over something you can't have, then I would say, okay, that's, fallen nature. Okay, that's just human tendencies. But there really should never be a reason for somebody to be jealous of somebody else's faith, because it's open to us all. Think about that. It's open to us all. We all have the ability to attain faith in Jesus through the Catholic Church. So there would be no need for jealousy. You guys just have to be open. That's it. You just got to be open. You just got to take one step forward. So that's interesting. It's an interesting comment. I just wanted to explore that a little. So many of you are waiting. Phone lines are jammed, and you've been waiting many, many minutes. Thank you. Thank you. These calls are going to take a little longer just because of the topic. So I'm going to go next to Jose, listening to EWTN Radio in Virginia on the iHeart Radio app. Hi, Jose. Thank you so much for waiting. Welcome to Take Two.
Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate that. Well, my situation is almost similar to the last caller. The idea that my wife was baptized Catholic, grew up, but was never catechized on the other side of the border in Mexico. Her belief is that she believes in God, she believes in the Virgin, and she's a good person, and that's all she needs. She doesn't need the Mass, she doesn't need the sacraments, and so forth. We raised our kids, taking them to through the sacraments, but they're eventful Catholics. In other words, if there's a baptism coming up or marriage or something like that, that's the only time we go to church. I've gone most of the time. I just got off the road as a truck driver. I'm a local delivery now, and gives me more opportunity to try to catechize them. But the situation is this: she feels that the way my mother, when we used to go to church back in El Paso, she feels that there was a lot of judgment or hypocritical, saying, look out, this person's dressed, and why is this person going to communion, and so forth. And she hates that hypocritical part. So she doesn't want to go to be hypocritical and criticizing other people who go to church. So basically, if I bring up anything of religion and all that, she tells me, oh, you're just like your mother, and she doesn't want me to have any communication with my mother or my other children from a previous marriage. And she feels that there's a kind of like a backlash of I can't even say it, I think it's some kind of a voodoo or malady that's been thrust upon us to keep us separated, to keep us unhappy. But yet, you know, when I try to bring up the rosary or what the church, the precepts, she doesn't want to hear about that. She says, as long as I believe in God, believe in the Virgin Mary, and that's it for me.
Wow, so she's really closed off, is what you're saying. Have you asked her just, I mean, I'm sure you have, and I'm sure all of you who are holding and stuff, I'm sure you've done all this, but I just want to make sure just for the rest of the listeners. And by the way, we had a couple calls that just dropped. Call back, please. You had interesting comments, so please call back. Now there's a phone line open, 1-800-585-9396. Jose, let me ask you this question. You said she wasn't properly catechized, but then that whole comparison about when she says about your mother and all that. Have you just very simply just said, honey, can we go take a walk and pray the rosary together? Have you ever said those, like just an open invitation that is non-threatening, just kind of, you just want to be with her? What would happen?
Well, I haven't tried that approach yet because I feel the zeal, and I've said that's not what, we're not being judged on how good we are or compared to Al Capone or somebody else. We're being judged on God's commandments. And she tells me, well, I just totally turn her off with those kind of statements. I'm going like, why can't we do what God commands? And I guess I've never tried that approach, being a little bit more gentle and kinder. Sure, I got that feel in me, ever since I came back.
Right, right. Well, and Jose, you know what? You're not alone, because those of us who really have the fire, in our belly, and we just want to go out there and change the world rapidly, and that's understandable. So you don't have to be so hard on yourself, because that's understandable. We know what we know. We know it's true. It's deep inside of us, and it is coming out of us. But with a person like your wife, and even like with Mary's husband, there does have to be a gentler approach, and a very social approach, And what I mean by that, I know this is going to sound crazy, but you just got to bear with me on this. spouses, and especially women, I think, spouses want to spend time with each other. And when you can mix your spirituality and form yourselves and spend time with each other, it's a great, great fit. It's a really great fit. Because think about it. If you're just going, if something is just going to be spoken in your house, and you're going to say, well, this is what I want to do in my home, and we want to follow God's commandments, and it starts, an argument, well, that's not good. That's not good. But what if you explored, things together in a very healthy, organic way? Think about that for just a second. I want you to really think about that, because think about a walk for a minute. You may see a sunset together. And in Virginia, you have beautiful sunsets. You may see a sunset together, and you can start glorifying and bringing God into the conversation together.
Mm-hmm.
There's little things. I know it sounds crazy, but it works. It really does. It's the little things that God can. All you have to do is plant the seeds and let God take over from there. Sometimes we do too much trying to maybe not force the situation, but overly encourage the situation to the point where the person gets completely turned away, but you're not alone. So I don't know if you've even thought of that, but it has to be. It sounds like your wife really, from what you're telling me, it sounds like she's really, there's a wall built up, a very big wall. That wall is not going to, prayer definitely, absolutely. That's what we should all be doing, praying for our spouses continually, because you want to get them to heaven with you. Okay, that's the goal. But those walls can really only come down maybe very slowly, very slowly. It might take a lifetime, Jose. But guess what? If you did that for a lifetime, and then at the end of the race, Jose, and you're greeted by God, and God says, well done, my good and faithful servant. It took you your whole entire life, but you brought your wife with you. How's that going to feel?
Well, eternity's forever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Eternity's forever. Yeah, that's what I mean. Sometimes we think it has to happen in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. But look at St. Monica. I mean, look how she prayed for her son. It took her a lifetime. But then he became a great saint. So I just feel that there's other ways to infuse Jesus into the marriage. There's other ways to infuse him into the relationship. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a classroom, in a class, in a catechetical training class, right at the get-go, because that might be too much for that person. God's got to meet that person where that person is at, with their walls, their baggage, everything. And I believe Pope Francis is doing a great job trying to remind us of that. He's not changing. Pope Francis is not changing anything about our church, doctrine, or anything. He's just simply saying our approach basically has to be from love, from a gentler, kinder position. So I don't know if that at all helps, Jose, but I really felt strongly in the spirit. I happen to be staring right now at in the studio of a beautiful picture of the Blessed Mother praying, and I was staring at it as you were talking, and I really felt prompted that the Blessed Mother is going to play a role in your relationship because of the fact that your wife is very open to her. So I would definitely pray to the Blessed Mother, and I think the Rosary is going to be key in your marriage. I just feel it. I don't know why. It's strong, so I have to say it if I feel it.
I kind of feel that way because before the call, I think I felt more like what Jesus said about the prophet in his own hometown. Is not very welcome, and that's the way I've been feeling with the family. And now I feel a little bit different, a little bit more.
Good.
Softer kind of approach.
Good. Will you check back with us from time to time and let us know just how it's, just because we want to feel hopeful, and if you can share maybe later on down the road how it's going, we would really appreciate it. Would you do that?
I sure will.
Thank you, Jose. God bless you. Thanks for calling. Thanks for waiting, and thanks for sharing your story today.
All right.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. Okay, we're going to try to go fast. I believe it's Shannon in California listening to EWTN radio on the EWTN online. Oh, you're online, EWTN. Great. Is it Shannon?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Shannon. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So what's up?
So, I'm sorry
Shannon?
about that.
No, that's okay.
Can you
Go
hear
ahead.
me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay, so anyway, just like the other callers, I'm going through similar situations. My husband is not practicing the faith as I am, and it's a struggle, you know. I try to talk to him about it, and he gets really upset and mad at me and doesn't want to hear it. And, you know, it's hard because I want to share what I'm feeling with him, and I want him to experience the same things that I'm experiencing, but he doesn't want any part of it. And just like your last caller, he was brought up Catholic, and his parents were very, very judgmental, and so he feels the same way about church and how it's, if you go there, you're going to become hypocritical or something. And so, and what happened was our son died in June, so we both were kind of away from the faith, and then the Blessed Mother and I connected, and I just, you know, through the death of my son, I came back to the church and have been helped tremendously. I feel like I'm a walking testament to God's love and mercy, because I really don't know how I could go on without them helping me through this. And he asks me, he's like, how do you do it? And I say, it's through the Lord. That's how I do it. But I don't know what to do.
Well, a couple things. First of all, can you share your son's name so we can hold him up in prayer?
His name is Justin.
Justin. Justin. Okay. And how is he dealing, your husband, emotionally, not spiritually, emotionally over the death of your son?
Horribly. He's horribly. He is not doing well at all.
Okay, so, well, I am not a trained counselor, but I've done classes in grieving and death and dying and what happens. So I'll impart that part to you, but I want to share something with you. And I'm going to get very teary-eyed because I feel very bad for your husband, because he's struggling. If you're see, you said you don't know how you would be able to have gotten through it of the loss of your son if you didn't have your faith. You've got an anchor. Yeah, you've got an anchor. You're holding on to. Your husband's free floating. And if you've ever free floated, it's a really unstable, frightening place to be, emotionally and spiritually. And so, the one thing I did learn, Shannon, is that, especially in your husband's case, he's got to feel, not think and not talk about, but feel the love of the faith through you, but not in words. Does that make sense? Not in words.
Yes,
okay.
It does, because when I talk about it, he just gets really angry, and then he doesn't hear anything because he's angry.
Right. He's just got to feel it. You've got to be a bundle of a love and compassion and understanding, even though you're still going through it. But like you said, you have the anchor of your faith. So you've got to be that conduit that it can come through you and get to him, so he can feel comforted and hopefully heal and get through the grieving and continue to thrive through it, even though he's in so much pain. But that's a strong task for you, because you're going through it yourself. So I don't want to put more things on your plate, but because you're trying to get through the loss of your son as well. But you have the rock that you need. You have the anchor that you need. Somehow we've got to get that transmitted to your husband.
Yes, I am trying so hard, and I pray for him all the time. And one day I was talking to him about it when he was in a mood to talk about it, and he wasn't getting angry. And I just offered, I said, just let me prove to you that it helps when you turn it over to God. I said, just pray the rosary with me one time and see how you feel. And he said he would think about it. So at least he said he would think about it, you know.
Cool.
So,
and that's all. But he's open to it, though, Shannon. Go ahead.
He is. And also, listening to the last few callers, you said he's a real nature person. He feels like when he's in nature, he's around God and all that. And I think maybe if I partake more in hiking with him And maybe if I were to take a rosary out there with us, and maybe if he was in a really good mood, I could bring it out and say, hey, let's pray the rosary out here in this beautiful setting. Maybe he would go for it.
Right.
I don't know.
Can I make a suggestion? Okay, I love what you had to say. Yes, yes, and yes. Please go hiking with him. Please go to the top of the mountain when you can see the beautiful God's nature all around you. Pull out your rosary, and instead of saying, can we pray it together, I want you to try one thing and then call back and let us know how because here's what may happen. If your husband feels comfortable in nature, all he has to do is hear. All he has to do is hear.
Okay.
You do the praying. Remember,
Okay.
when you two are one in marriage. You were married in the church, right?
Yes.
Yes, you're one, okay? You do the praying. So all you have to say is, honey, could you just sit here for 20 minutes and just sit and just look at the sunset and you pray out loud?
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because guess
I'm
what?
gonna
You
do
really are praying for him. Think about it. And you're praying.
I pray for, yeah.
Yeah. You're praying with him, though, what I mean, because he's there listening.
True, yes.
It may shock you, Shannon. All of a sudden, after maybe, the third decade or something, all of a sudden you may hear him start saying the prayers.
Yeah, I do see glimpses of it coming out. I see that he's just like on this cusp. He's right there, and I think if I, like you said, do what you were just suggesting to your last caller, taking a walk, I think that would be very beneficial.
Absolutely.
And I think that might work.
Okay, try it, because California, you've got great hiking trails. Go for it and let us know. Please keep us posted. And check back also on the take2show.com site later this afternoon and check out some of the resources maybe that might even continue to help, grow it. So that might work. Will you do that?
I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shannon. God bless you.
And God bless you.
Okay, bye-bye. Wow, you guys, I have to say something. Take Two. You guys, you that listen to the show, you're awesome. You're so amazing. You inspire Jerry and I every time you speak. I don't know if you realize that, but you really do. I mean, sometimes I leave the show and I'm just in a bundle of tears, and so is Jerry, because we just really love all of you. You have such a fire you're on fire for the faith. You want to grow your faith. You want to get to heaven, and it's really inspiring. So thank you. Gwen in Oregon, you're next, listening on EWTN radio on Sirius XM 130. Gwen, I think you may have gotten our Patience Award. Thank you for waiting so long. Hi, Gwen.
Hi, my name's Gwen. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I had this conversion about 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago, and I believe the Lord wants me to share this. It's an amazing journey that I've been on with the Lord. When I first came back, I have the Lord put in my heart to go to Mass every day, and I fell in love with going to Mass, with Eucharistic and adorations. And so I think what happened in my life is that I allowed the Lord to take the wheels, and I'm a passenger, although that's not an easy thing. Sometimes, it's reverse. But for the most time, I think I try to listen to the Holy Spirit. And when I first got back, I went to Mass, and I had a friend who spoke to me regarding about our marriage, my husband and I. He's Buddhism, and I'm Catholic. And so we weren't married in church at all. And a friend was telling me that maybe my marriage is not valid. So I went to talk to a priest, and I found out that if I can't convince my husband to come in and take a vow, then I'll just go ahead and receive the Eucharistic and then offer it up to the Lord, which I did. I went and received and offered it up to the Lord, and I continued with that church for a while. But then when I moved to another church, a friend came up to me after confession saying, Gwen, you can't go to receive communion because the Lord, the Father told me not to. And I thought to myself, I say, Lord, if you want me to go and talk to a father, then I will. And so I knew that he does want me to, and I knew that if I did go, then I won't be able to receive the Lord. So I went anyway. And I think, about Pope Francis on this matter, I think love is the key thing that the Lord wants me to portray to my husband. It's like I have to die to myself, and it's always about sacrificing for the Lord with my husband, because he's from Buddhism, and so he would not understand anything about Catholicism, and he doesn't want to hear anything about Catholicism because he thinks that it's a hoax. He thinks that it's not real. And so it's been really hard, but I listened to EWTN, and I found out consecrations to the Blessed Mother, and that, to me, the Lord brought me to it, because I didn't even understand the word consecrations at all. But he had me consecrate to her every day. And for the last 4 years, I've consecrated to her. And my marriage has been an amazingly different. He slowly, at first,
coming around.
It was very hard when he criticized things, but then it came around, and he's very nice about it, and he never criticized anymore. And to the point now, sometimes, where sometimes you say in Vietnamese that, oh my gosh, and then I say, oh honey, you can't say that, and he's like, oops, okay, I won't say that, and that's the thing. I think the Lord had me be patient about this whole thing and just prayed about it.
Right.
And I think, like what you're saying
Gwen,
about
we only have another minute, so go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, okay. Like what you're saying about anchoring, my mom passed away, and I do have the Lord, and a lot of times he went through difficulty. I think we can prayers are very powerful. Pray for peace for the husband. Pray for anything that the husband needs that you have, that the Lord give you. It doesn't mean that he's not Catholic, he can't receive any of that, I don't think, because I pray for everything for him.
Well, the priest the priest did advise you, though, that to be in full communion with the church, that the marriage has to be.
Yeah, and the Lord brought him in. Actually, he finally accepted.
He's Catholic?
No. He brought my husband in to take a vow with me. So therefore, I am able to receive all that. But no, he's not Catholic yet. Although the Lord he's starting to pray. So slowly things coming around, but not to the point where he wants to be Catholic. No, not yet at this point. Yeah, but it's amazing how he turns us around, from so far away from him until, where my husband's starting to pray. And so and the priest that you, just real quickly, the priest that is working with you, this is a priest that is an Orthodox priest that is very in line with the church, correct? Yeah, it's a Catholic priest. Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, well, I mean, to have, if you have a good, sound, solid priest advising you, Gwen, and you're practicing some of the consecrations and prayers to Our Lady, and especially to her Immaculate Heart and the Sacred Heart of Jesus, more and more blessings. That's all we can pray for you, that your husband, it sounds like it's coming around, and you said there's more peace. So this is a confirmation. Gwen, thank you. Thank you for sharing that story. Catherine, you have a great comment. It says there, advice that a pastor gave you in South Dakota. I'm sorry we couldn't get to you. Can you go on take2show.com and comment on today's show? Comment and share with us what that advice is. I'm really curious, Catherine, what your pastor had to say about the situation. I think others will be as well. Don't forget to check back later in the afternoon about take2show.com. We're going to post some resources. Jerry will be back tomorrow, and it's going to be another great show. Thank you, dear listeners. You are so awesome. Tomorrow is all about technology. Is it making us antisocial? That's tomorrow's show on Take Two. Another great Take Two show, all because of you. We love you, and until tomorrow, have a beautiful and blessed day.